Hi everyone, welcome to the Icehouse Podcast. My name is Bryar Stewart. I'm the community manager at the Icehouse and loving having conversations with our alumni business owners and leaders about their journey and their stories. And today on the podcast we have Bex Tacon with us. She is an owner down in Hawke's Bay and has been on our owner operator program last year in 2021 with Michaela and the team there. She is the owner and director of Planit, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation, hearing how she's built her business and how she's running it today. So thanks heaps, Bex, for being on the podcast.
Kia ora. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, kia ora. So let's crack into it. Some quick fire questions. I love to start that way. What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was really young, a vet. And then as I sort of got older and into my high school days, I wanted to own my own business, which was going to be somewhere in within the hospitality sector.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Was there something sorry, I'm going off script already, but was there something that inspired you to want to be a business owner, like someone in your family or?
No, it was just about being able to call the shots, really, being able to be in charge of how I, painted my own, career and life and things. So that was always a massive motivation.
Love that. That's awesome. Book or podcast that you recommend people should watch or listen to?
Oh, tough one. Love reading. Don't do enough of it because I don't have time. Just recently been reading The Seven Sisters. I mean, that's nothing to do with business.
Cool.
Series, and it's great. So for really light-hearted reading, I'd give that one a crack.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. Coffee order?
Oh, peppermint tea at the moment.
Nice. Yeah, there's always a risk when I ask that one.
Yeah.
When are you most productive, Bex?
It varies, to be honest. Totally varies. My day in the event industry is so varied, so it sort of depends on how the week's panned out. Probably the afternoon, generally speaking.
Yeah, of course. And I'm looking forward to diving into the event industry soon and what you built. But on the other hand of productivity, maybe, when are you most relaxed?
Definitely at night.
Yeah, cool. Favorite place in the world?
Apart from Hawke's Bay, New Zealand, Italy.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, so beautiful. Nice. And I love to sort of kick things off with some of our deeper questions with this nice open question. And that is, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Bex and what are your passions and what does life look like today?
Right. So born and bred in Hawke's Bay, went away and spent sort of a number of years travelling throughout New Zealand, Australia, and then UK, and came home. I am a mother of two boys, so married, two boys, a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. So awesome. Keeps us really busy. I love anything to do with just food, wine, events. Very passionate about my community and the region that we live in. We're lucky we live sort of out of town, so I've got a lovely sort of rural but not too rural outlook that we have. And just busy. I'm just a busy mum with a business, and that keeps us really on our toes.
I love that. Yeah, very inspiring and looking forward to diving into that deeper. Would love to hear, and you're in the right region for wine and events and nice food and that sort of thing. It's very, very cool. But I'd love to hear about your career journey and what led to Planit. What was your aha moment there? So where you started and where you are now.
Yeah, really tricky. Like, as I said, I always knew I wanted to be my own boss, and I've always loved hospitality. I've always loved events, and I've always worked in those sectors. So I chose not to go to university straight after school, and I went and worked and travelled instead. I wanted to sort of pave my own way and learn my own way. So I used to buy little books, and everywhere I worked I used to write all the pros and cons about what I saw about how that business operated, and that was in Hawke's Bay, that was in Australia, that was in the UK. Every single place I went to, I sort of really tried to look in the ins and outs of that business, just so I could learn myself about how to do it. So I'm probably one of those old school stories of starting at the very bottom and working my way up. I mean, I have I started as a waitress when I was 15 and just learnt everything across a whole lot of different, factors of the industry in regards to what could and would make a good business. I had my heart set on actually for a long time having a bar and restaurant as my first own business, and then quickly began to realize how hard it is to actually it's really tough because you've got bricks and mortar and you've got it's a whole nother ball game, which is sort of what led me more down the direction of having a event management company, because it is very low overheads to run. I didn't need a building. I didn't need 20 staff to just open the door. I was able to start with just me and my laptop and my internet connection and just go from there. So that's what probably drove me into the event management company to start with.
Right.
I loved events. It was when you look at hospitality as a whole, it's huge. And the events was something I was always drawn to. And so I knew that, so I just thought, right, let's do it. Well, I came home from overseas and I was working in event management in the UK. And when I came back to New Zealand, I didn't want to just jump into a venue and be their event manager. I wanted to be independent. So I was like, right, great time to start Planit. But I needed a little bit more experience in other sectors because I had so much hospitality experience and event experience all around the world and for years. But there's so much more to business. So I actually went and took a role in sales for a radio company. So did sales for about 3 years while I was trying to create and build a business, just to give me a different perspective of being a business and something that wasn't directly related to the hospitality industry. And that was huge because I built some great connections. I learned a lot about the sales process, and I started Planit at the same time I was doing that, as it was my side hustle, until I could build it up to be a business where I could step away and just do Planit. So that's how it sort of evolved. It was it took a really long time because I had to work to obviously pay bills and pay mortgage, but also had to work to have spare money to put into the business. But that classic old juggle of the side hustle that eventually became my hustle.
How did you know when you could take it full time and you could step away from the sales role? Was there a certain moment?
No, I don't think you ever know. I think there's something always standing in your way. It's that natural fear of us being humans. You think you'll take a calculated risk, but there's always something that's going to make you go, oh, probably not now. What I did, which was either crazy or not crazy, but when I had my first child, so Lincoln, I decided once I'd had him, I wouldn't go back to any other work but the business. So it gave me that motivation that, I'd gone technically on maternity leave and now I need to make this work. And did it that way. So I just kind of bit the bullet and drew a line in the sand and went, it's now, because at any point we're going to put a roadblock in the way.
Yeah, for sure. It's never the right perfect time.
No, even perfect time.
I like that advice. I like that advice. So tell us a little bit more. So obviously in the event industry, crafting these beautiful events for people. Tell us a bit more about what Planit's offerings are, because I also noticed there's a Planit staff or recruitment as well. So I would love to hear more about both.
Yeah, there is. So Planit Events, event management. So we do anything that fits in with our brand and our values. There's some events that we do choose not to take on because they don't necessarily align with what's important to us. We do a lot of things within the wedding industry, corporate events, charity events, awards nights, private events. We have huge array of things for 10 people to 500 people, and it varies hugely. From working with corporate businesses to working with committees to working with couples who are getting married. So it's very, very different. No day is ever the same, which is awesome. Planit staff, it's pretty cut and dry, the events. We plan and execute events, and we can do as little or as much as the client requires. Some clients want to pass on a complete project and we take over and do absolutely everything. Others just want some hand holding and they want advice, or others want a bit of both. They want to do a bit, they want us to do a bit. It depends on the event, the budget, circumstances. So we're really flexible in regards to what we can offer and what we do with our clients.
So do you have like an initial meeting to work out how much they want your involvement and go from there?
Absolutely, yeah. So in the initial consultation, we would quote based on that consultation with the understanding that at any point that could change. The client may come to us and go, actually, we're really slammed. We've had other projects that have come up. We need you to take on this element now. And we will just jump in and do that because things change. Everyone's busy, life's busy. And so we always maintain that we've got to have that flexibility for people. And it works really well.
Great. I love that. Cool.
Yeah. So Planit Staff is a sister part of the company. Basically what had happened, I've always been really, service and a good level of service has always been really important for me. And we have had our little team of us that would go out and work our events, and we started getting phone calls. This is years ago. This was about probably 2015 maybe. We'd get phone calls from caterers or venues that we'd work with saying, hey, your team were amazing the weekend. We're a bit short staffed. Do you think any of your team or girls would like some extra hours? And I'm like, oh, sure. So I'll just give a shout out to the girls saying, hey, there's some extra hours up for grabs this weekend or tonight, and it just started sort of happening more and more. So a little light bulb moment went off, hang on a minute, here I am kind of accidentally becoming the middleman of giving my team more hours, which is great, and helping out a client. There's probably an opportunity here to turn this into a business. So then started going, okay, let's focus on doing this, but doing it as we are temporary recruitment in the sense that any gaps that businesses have within the industry. So it started based on events. It started when a client would have a wedding and they'd also have another function on, and they didn't have enough staff in-house to deal, so they would just bring our team in. So in the early days, we were just helping out with when they needed more staff on their busier periods. Now it's every day. So we service the entire hospitality industry, so bars, cafes, restaurants, wineries, and events. And from it's still temporary. We don't do permanent recruitment, and we don't want to do. We want to stick to just that temp solution. So someone can ring up and they can they can hire a staff member for 3 hours. They can hire a staff member for 3 weeks for 8 hours a day. Just depends on what they need.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, we're a really great addition to Planit. And obviously 2020 when COVID hit, everything shut down for us.
Yeah. What was that like?
Nearly, terrible. It was terrible for everyone though. It's terrible for all industries, but we in that first 10 days of lockdown, we lost 7 months of business. Just phone call after phone call and cancellation after cancellation. It was nearly sort of unbelievable to look at it now.
Seems surreal. Yeah,
it seems surreal to look back and thinking I've worked so hard for so many years to build this business and build a brand. Literally, I've put my blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and we're finally at a point where I'm thinking we're getting somewhere, and it's just that classic, that rug whipped out from under you. And I remember being gobsmacked, actually thinking, what am I going to do? I have no income for the foreseeable future. Like, I was an ostrich. I stuck my head in the sand for about 10 days and was like, don't even want to know about it. Literally in the sand, and then popped my head back up and was like, okay, I've got to deal with this now. Obviously both businesses were affected because hospitality had closed down, the events were gone, and I knew they weren't coming back for a long time. So we did a pivot, which I hate that word now. I really hate that word. Pivoted, and because we had the model running for Planit Staff, we turned that hospo was struggling and out of action. We started doing horticultural contracting. So placing staff into orchards, because orchards were fully functional at any level. So it safeguarded us. So we did that we started that in the May, so March. It took 2 months to get my head out of the sand.
Yeah, fast turnaround.
Didn't come up with what am I going to do? And so I started hiring staff based on them working full-time in orchards. And so that was huge. That was a massive, massive learning curve. That was a complete shift because it's a completely different industry.
Yeah.
It was just, we had the same model set up that we had been working with in hospitality, and with a few tweaks thought, let's just give this a go. So we still do that. We now service horticulture and hospitality.
Yeah.
Because it's
a great safeguard, and it's what you do. Yeah,
it is. And people sort of get confused sometimes, and it's a real, couldn't be industries, couldn't be any different. But the model's the same. So that was very thankful that we had the ability to do that, because without it, I don't know what position the business would be in, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's taken so long to come back. We had that initial lockdown period, and then it was up and down like a yo-yo. As everyone in business knows, it was on again, off again, on again, off again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was a roller coaster of emotions.
It really was a roller coaster.
Yeah, and for sure. How's business, or how's events now in terms of they back in humming and coming back on the scene?
Yeah, they sure are. So it's great. Confidence is back, which is amazing, and the fear of cancellation is back, and that is what has been a huge issue for us in the industry, because once we got over the fact and learnt to deal with working around the restrictions, then all the fear comes into place of what if. So what if my photographer gets COVID? What if the catering team go down with COVID? All of that sort of stuff. And there still is that fear. It's just not as great anymore. But there's a new level of confidence now. But what we're trying to juggle with now is that we've had 2 years of carnage, and now everyone wants to have events, and you've still got the same sort of time frame. So everyone's trying to schedule events into a shorter period of time, which is saturating the market. Which makes it tougher for ticket sales. It makes it more competitive to get your suppliers locked in. It's you've got couples who have waited years to get their family here to get married, and now are struggling to find a venue or the suppliers they want, because there's been that 2-year period of on again, off again, and it's everyone's trying to go, right, let's just cram it into
of course.
But that'll just take time. And then, another 6 months or a year, and hopefully we'll be back to our sort of new post-COVID normal.
Very cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's really cool to hear that story, and how you've been very resilient in keeping things afloat. And that's a thing through all of our business owners is, that resilience and that grit of just, like you said, popping your head back up and going, okay, where to from here, and sussing a plan, whatever it needed to be to keep things afloat. Amazing.
Yeah, we can't just give up, can you?
No.
It's so hard for so many. You can't, you've just got to, I was way too stubborn to give up.
I love that. And it's obvious that you're passionate about what you do, and leads nicely into my next question, which is, what is your purpose? What motivates you every day?
My family, really. And before I had a family, the husband and the kids and the ones I love, just to do some good in the world. And I know that sounds really cheesy. It's true. I wanted to be able to make my own path. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to be able to employ people and treat them the way I thought was the right way to treat people. I wanted to make a difference in the community. We do lots of charity work, and it's really important to us. And I wanted to be able to get up and make a difference, so that when I do shuffle off, I can feel really proud of what I've achieved, and it being a different level of success, not about having lots of money or big titles or anything like that, about just being a really good person doing really great things for people around us in our community. So that for me, really.
That's so special. And I think it's such a good reminder, at the end of the day, it's how we have treated people along the way that is what we're going to be remembered for, not the fancy title at the end of your email address or something like that.
Yeah, so important. It's so important. And that's what we hold. Yeah, really. Yeah,
really high. That's very evident in this conversation. So yeah, enjoying it a lot. The next question is challenge, but I know that would have been COVID and we've had a good chat about that. I'm going to ask, what's been a highlight moment or maybe a standout event so far? And how do you celebrate success when you and your team have a success?
Oh, really tricky. I don't know. We sort of, every successful event that we put on, we sort of celebrate as in, hey, great job, well done. But at the end of the day, it's our job to put on great events and for them to be successful. So, we put on an event, we do it, we go, yay, great. We look at what we could have done better, which is always something. And we look at what we could, look at what we've done well. But then we just move on because we're busy. So you've got to, we're just going to go, yay, high five. Nailed it. Let's make sure we don't do that this year, next year, or do this differently. And then we just sort of move on.
Yeah, on to the next one for sure. Yeah. It's a common answer, which is cool, and especially when you're passionate about what you do. It's like loving what you're doing, loving the journey. On to the next one, which is cool. What's a misconception about the event industry that you'd like to debunk?
It's glamorous. It's not. It is nothing glamorous about it. No. I think sometimes people think who aren't actually really actively involved in the event industry that it is just, over the years, I've had lots of sort of younger staff come to me and go, oh, we really want to learn events. And, just like on the movie, is it J-Lo who wears the headpiece and just walks around with a clipboard? And that looks really cool. I'm like, there's nothing like that at all. It is really hard work. It is really long hours. You've got to get down and dirty. Like it's just, still even being the owner and Pippa, who is a really integral part of our team, one of my event managers, we are in there scraping plates, we are pushing down rubbish bins, we are setting up with covered in mud in the rain in some events, and it is not what it seems. There's so much work that goes into the background to get that event to that point. And it's a huge amount of hours that go into pulling them off. And on event days as well, like the pack-ins, the pack-outs, the actual executing the event it's massive. And you would, the end of the night I might come home and I could have been on my feet for 15 hours, and that's a normal day, and that's just part of what you need to do to put on a good event. Be there at the very beginning, be there at the very end, make sure all the boxes are ticked. So it's not as glamorous as people think. It's extremely hard work, and there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes that people don't see.
Yeah, for sure. Do you ever get not anxiety, but like worry about an event going, like
all the time,
struggling to sleep the night before or something?
Still, every time. Still, it's not until it's running that I go, oh, okay. And that's honestly, because even though I know things technically should go well, the thing with the events, you're bringing in so many different factors, and sometimes lots of things that are still outside your control. An example would be that if your musician's car broke down, that's out of my control, but that would directly impact your event. And so it's not until everything's moving and flowing and going that I go, I can breathe now. And it's because I'm still, been doing it a really long time, but still so passionate about it, and still really, really important that everything goes really well. So I do worry and have sleepless nights, and I'm like I say that I'm like a duck, and I say it to my team all the time. I've got to be like a duck. You've got to appear really cool and calm and collected on the surface, and underneath you can run and you can be working really hard. You just can't show that that's what you're doing.
So true. I love that analogy. That's brilliant. Bex, any piece of advice that you would give to those wanting to put on a great event but just not sure where to even start?
Hire an event planner.
Good one.
No. Box ticking, really. Events can be really daunting because you're thinking, well, where do I even start? But it's about just ticking one box at a time, about, putting everything down on pen and paper in front of you and making sure that you've got every aspect of that event covered. But there's lots of little things that go into events that people don't think about sometimes, which is why we always encourage people to either hire a professional or even just get someone to cast their eye over it, because there's things that people don't think about, and it's little things. It could be that they didn't think that you should actually be hiring service trays, and suddenly you get to the event and no one's got trays, so then you're trying to give 150 people bubbles and no trays to put them on, and things like that, that when you're using a professional, all of that sort of stuff's covered.
Yes, so true. Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. Moving and switching gears a bit into your Icehouse experience, would love to hear how you heard of the Icehouse and the owner-operator program.
I heard about it initially through the Business Hub here in Hawke's Bay, the Chamber of Commerce,
cool.
Who I've been an active member of the Chamber for years, and had heard about the owner-operator program long before I actually joined. So that was, had heard and known people and business owners on the program, so I'd heard, feedback from them directly.
Cool.
So yeah.
And how did you then go, okay, it's time for me now to go on the program? How did you decide to go on the program?
So it was after COVID, and after everything, we'd obviously had a massive shake-up. We'd had the craziest 2 years I hope I'll ever have in business. I don't want to go through that again. And had was looking, I'd always done some sort of coaching. I'd had coaches in the past, and I just was looking for a little bit more. So when I went back into needing more coaching, looked further afield at my options in regards to the Icehouse program being able to offer more than just
a coach,
a 2-hour sit down monthly or every, bi-monthly. Yeah. So that was sort of what was probably the defining factor, that it offered more, and we'd been through such turmoil. I think it was just a good opportunity to kind of do something a bit different than just
that's cool. I like that perspective. Yeah, that's great. And then you get the cohort along with it, and the the people that you're actually doing the program with, which is very important.
It's so important. Just that that community of people going through really similar experiences in completely different industries. Yeah. And that is just so important. It's so good. Because it's just that like-mindedness, even though it is completely different. And that's what is so valuable, to meet these people and go, you know exactly what I'm talking about, exactly where I'm coming from. Yet you're not, you're polar apart, in regards to the different industries, and that diversity we have in our group is just so good. Really
I love that. I hear that so much, that it's like, I thought I would come and no one would really understand, the challenges that I'm going through. But really, every business owner has the same or similar, at least, challenges that they're going through, especially in the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, just amazing to have a community to bounce ideas off and all that sort of thing, which is cool. Was there anything that held you back from signing up initially, or did you, once you'd made the decision, did you get straight into it?
No, it took me years. So I'd looked at it years ago when I started looking into the coaching, and to be honest, the two were the time commitment and the money. I went, okay, that's more expensive than coaching. A lot more expensive than coaching. How I initially viewed it, when you actually break it down, it's not at all. And the time commitment, I was like, I'm too busy. I don't have that time to put aside, because if then I can't do that, I'm, because I think I was getting hung up on the fact that these workshops, and I'm like, well, what if I've got an event on, and what if I can't do it, and what if I'm busy? Then I miss out on this workshop, yet I'm having to pay for the investment of that. And that, to be honest, was where I was really stuck. And it was crazy. I laugh about it now and go, I wish I'd done this years ago, and I should have done it. But I think everything happens for a reason, and I was probably really ready to jump into it when I did, where so I've absolutely no regrets for doing it when I've done it. And I do just say it'd been great to have done it prior, because you just make it happen. I just block out that Friday and I look forward to it in my calendar now. I'm like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
And so the time commitment's nothing. And the investment, when you actually look at what you get versus what I was paying for a coach, it's you get much more value. And I just think I was busy. I wasn't focusing on it. I was worried about time. I was like, no, it's more expensive and it's way more time. I can't commit to that. Yeah, it's crazy. I absolutely could have and should have, but I didn't. But I got there in the end.
Yeah, that's so cool, and thank you for being honest with that, because a lot of our business owners think exactly the same as you. The time and money would be the highest two up there, and we totally understand that. But when you hear on the back end the value that the business owners have got from it, that's us gold, and is why we do what we do. It's why we exist. And so thanks for being honest around that decision making for you.
Yeah, well, because I think everyone at business owners, what we're guilty of is you work in the business and you have very little time to work on your business. And so what I would try to do prior, and I would go, okay, so I'll put an hour a week aside to work on my business, but you never do it. Where with the workshops, you have to work on the business. And it was just so valuable. And so you're still, it's so important to make time for that. And that first probably half an hour after my first workshop, I was like, game changer. What have I been doing?
Yeah.
The light bulb went up. I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I had all these. Yeah. But hey.
That's so cool. No, thanks for being real there. That's awesome. Anything real specific that you implemented into your business, but also your lifestyle since the program? Any key takeaways?
Probably a hard question. Lots of little things. I was probably a lot better at looking at my the numbers.
Cool.
So I hate the numbers.
Yeah.
We're like, the numbers don't matter. They do. So I'm a lot more in tune and probably pay a lot more attention to that. But lots of little things. Great idea about having. I loved how you had to have your goals in regards to things you were doing, things you need to do, things you had done. It was really nice to be able to go, hey, I'm doing that, but I've done that. And you can actually, each month you go back and you go, actually, I have achieved quite a lot, which is really neat. So there's lots of little things that probably just tidied up things in the business that needed tidying up, that, again, when you're time poor and doing trying to do wear multiple hats, you don't get the ability to see or tick off those things.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really, really cool. I love that one. In the Icehouse, we are leaning into the importance of having more female owners on our programs. And when asked, how many women do we have in program, we're always saying not enough for sure. Did you have any concerns about that diversity going into the program, and anything you'd say to female owners that aren't sure if it's for them or if they belong there?
I had no concerns at all going into the program. I didn't even think about how many males versus females that were being there. It was not even on my radar. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been aware about what I walked into. We had a real mix, which was great, but it wasn't even on my radar about who would be in that room. I made the decision I wanted to do it, and I'd made the decision that I was going to give it my everything. And I just knew there was going to be like-minded people in that room, and I didn't care what sex they were. Advice to female operators, I would just think it doesn't matter who's in that room, what sex they are. You are going to get so much value regardless of who's in there, because they are business owners who want to be there for the right reasons, and they're going through very similar things that you're going through. So just do it. Don't pretend like I did for however many years, because you were just, the value you get out of it. As I said, I always say it was a game changer, because it gives you that time you need to work on your business. It gives you that network and that support and meeting those people that you can bounce ideas off, and it's just great just to be in the same room with a real mix of genuinely great people going through the same thing on the same journey. Really cool. So just do it. You just got to make the time. You've got to make the investment. It's an absolute no-brainer. I just can't say, speak highly enough of the program, and anyone I deal with now, and I talk about it, and I just go, you've got to do it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, got to make it happen.
Yeah, that's so cool. Love that sort of natural ambassadors of the Icehouse down in the
absolutely. Yeah.
Carla's just built something so incredible down in that region as well. And
yeah,
so,
she really has.
She's an incredible leader. And
she really is. She's great.
Yeah, she's quality.
Amazing.
In terms of what you're saying, you're in a room with this great bunch of local business owners. How has the program helped you with business connections and support? Has that been a big part of it?
Been great to meet, because I've met some new people on the course. So that's been great to have that support in the room where you can feel you can speak openly about things that may not been going quite right, where you wouldn't do that in a situation if you went to a meet and greet or a business after 5 with the chamber. You may not sort of particularly you go, oh my gosh, I've had the worst bloody week with staff. No, you wouldn't do that. So it's a safe space, and I think that's what I found really valuable. Just that connection of feeling be able to go, oh my goodness, like I've stuffed up, or sort of just that feeling of being able to.
I love that safe place,
and be, not be afraid to say what you need to be doing better and all of that sort of jazz.
Safe place. I love that. It's cool. Nice. Last couple of questions, and really loved our convo. Bex, thanks you're just a natural, so thank you for what you're sharing. I'm sure it's inspiring those listening. A piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self or a budding business owner and leader? Just
do it. I know that sounds so corny. I have, and probably proof, I didn't go and study formally. I didn't do particularly well at school. School wasn't my thing. I just worked my backside off from a really young age, and I taught myself so much. Like my little books that I love looking back and reading now, my little books of everywhere I've worked and the little things I picked up, and there'll always be something that will hold you back from trying to give something a go. But my theory was, if it doesn't work and if I fail, at least I've given it a go. And I know it sounds really cheesy, but it was the same with Planit staff when I thought, I wonder if this will work. If you don't actually give it a go and take the leap at some point, you're always going to wonder. And wouldn't you be best to go, well, let's just do it? Because if it doesn't work, I fall over. If I fail, I'll pick myself back up and I'll go and do something else. You've got to take that risk, because if it's something you're truly passionate about, you will make it work. And that's what I've done. I've made it work, and we've had to go through, literally blood, sweat and tears to build it up to being a viable business, and then still learning every day. But which is, wonderful. You've just got to go, and you've got to do it. You've got to give it your all, and you've got nothing to lose by giving it a go. It'll just be people I think sometimes think I don't have the right skill set. I don't have the qualities, but you can learn those. And if you can't learn them, you can find them within other people. Like I am terrible when it comes to anything to do with my numbers. So the fact that I've got an amazing coach within Michaela and a great accountant, they sort that stuff out for me. You focus on what you're good at, and you get the support in around you to help you with what you're not so good at, because we're not all going to be great at all things. And so you can't let that stop you from doing something you really want to stop, because your passion will make it happen in some way.
Brilliant advice. That's so cool. I love it. Just do it and find people to lift you up in your weaknesses. So you can focus on strengths. You get the right people behind you and around you to help,
you know what you're good at, you know what you're not good at. And if you're not good at it, if you can't learn it, we don't want to learn it. Like with me, with my admin and stuff like that, I'm terrible. And we've got Jo, who's just incredible, and she's just a huge part of our team, and she takes care of all of that side of things. So it's not my strong point, and it allows me to do the things that I am good at. And it's just do it.
Just do it, people. If you're listening, whatever you're thinking about, just go and do it.
Or do be scared. Being scared's good. It gives you that, gives you
feel
that.
the fear, do it anyway. That's what I like.
That fire in your belly, because if you don't do it, you'll always wonder, and you don't want to look back in 20 years and regret not giving it a go.
So true. I love that. Nice, Bex. Last question that we have for this podcast is, what does the future look like for Planit? And I know it's a big one, and we'll stick with that one. What does the future look like for Planit?
I don't know. I never would have predicted that there was going to be a global pandemic that was going to literally demolish our business for nearly 2 years. But then I never knew I was going to have a horticultural contracting business. I don't know, honestly, and I know probably some people would go, oh, it's terrible, you should have 3-year and 5-year goals. I don't. I just focus on doing what we do now really well, and yes, we have absolute plans about where we want to go, and we're going to pick up and plant this Planit staff model in other regions and things like that. But I don't put time frames on it. I'm not putting, because especially after the last 2 years, we've been through a whole lot of things that have been outside our control. So what we have to focus on is what is right in front of us, and what is right in front of us is our clients that need us to deliver great events, and our clients who need us to help them with their labour. So we're just doing that. I think we're safe to say now that the COVID story is behind us, in regards to we're not going to have future, I hope, future lockdowns and things like that to worry about. But you just don't know what the future holds. So we just want to continue to grow, continue to deliver great services to our clients, and the rest will come.
Brilliant. That's so cool. And a little sneaky extra question: how can those listening support you and the business?
That's a good question. I just think with anyone in business, we all need support. So what I talk about a lot, it's not necessarily about supporting me. I mean, great, if you want to use us for an event or something, fantastic, do. Just support local is what we really like to push. So within your own regions, make sure that you are supporting and shopping local, that you are, and it's even little things, that you are liking local businesses' Facebook posts, sharing their events, things that don't cost you money, they don't necessarily cost you time, but they mean a big deal to those people behind the scenes grinding to make things work. It's so easy now that people forget about the importance of that, supporting local, because supporting local is feeding families and employing staff and things like that. So that would be, I think, what everyone should be focusing on. Really.
That's brilliant. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, and for the deep dive into your journey as a business owner, and Planit, and the future of what Planit's looking like. And I just love your passion for what you do. It's so evident from the minute you started speaking about it. I can tell, and so that makes for a good podcast. So thanks for your time, Bex.
No, my absolute pleasure. It's been, thank you for having us. It's been awesome.